4 spine-chilling camping horror stories from the Appalachian Mountains. There's something about the Appalachian Mountains. They're ancient, their peaks worn smooth by ages, their valleys filled with shadows and secrets. People flock here for the incredible views, the tough trails, and to just get away from it all. But some people find something else entirely. Something that's been waiting in the dark for a long, long time. The history here is deep, from indigenous legends to the scars of the Civil War, and it's left a mark on the land, creating the perfect soil for ghost stories to grow. Tonight we've got 4 stories from people who took a trip into the Appalachians and came back a little different. These aren't just silly campfire tales. They're genuinely chilling accounts from hikers and campers who came face to face with the unknown in what might be America's most haunted wilderness. Our first story starts with a sound that should be comforting, a child's laughter on an empty trail. But instead, it was the beginning of a cold, creeping dread. Story 1. The Ghostly Girl on the Appalachian Trail. For hikers, the Appalachian Trail is a kind of pilgrimage, a path of dirt and rock that stretches for over 2,000 miles. One family thought it would be the perfect spot for a memorable camping trip, a chance for their young daughter, Lily, to see the raw beauty of the wilderness. They found a secluded spot to pitch their tent, miles from any road, and were surrounded by the quiet stillness of an old-growth forest. As the sun went down, the sky turned orange and purple, and a real sense of peace fell over their campsite. But as true darkness fell, that peace started to unravel. Lily's parents were fast asleep, but she was wide awake, her heart pounding. She was hit with a powerful feeling that they weren't alone. Every snap of a twig, every rustle of leaves, sounded exactly like footsteps circling their tent. She told herself it was just the forest settling in for the night, but she couldn't shake the intense feeling of being watched. She peeked through the small, zippered window of the tent and scanned the dark wall of trees at the edge of their camp. The moon was out, casting long, skeletal shadows on the ground. And that's when she saw her. Standing right at the tree line, half hidden by ferns, was the figure of a child. It was a girl, so pale she was almost see-through, her form seeming to shimmer in the moonlight. She wasn't moving. She was just standing there, watching. Lily felt a chill that had nothing to do with the night air. The girl didn't look scary, just incredibly sad, as if she were lost in the vast, dark woods. Lily squeezed her eyes shut, and when she opened them again, the figure was gone. The next morning she was quiet, the terror of the night still clinging to her. She finally told her mother what she'd seen, the pale, translucent girl by the trees. Her parents were unnerved, but tried to reassure her, saying it was probably just a bad dream. But it wasn't until they got home and did a little digging into that specific part of the mountains that their blood ran cold. They found old stories of tragic accidents involving children in that very area over the years. Lily hadn't had a nightmare. She had seen one of the mountain's lingering sorrows, the spirit of a child who never made it off the trail. Story 2. The Pierce Pond Ghost. Our next story comes from the remote shores of Pierce Pond in Maine. A man named David, a really experienced solo hiker, picked this spot because he wanted to be completely alone. He craved total disconnection, just him, the water, the trees, and the sky. For the first day and night, it was perfect. The silence was only broken by the call of a loon or the gentle sound of water lapping against the shore. On his second night, as the sun went down and his fire crackled, David saw something that made him freeze. Across a small inlet, maybe 50 yards away, a figure stepped out of the dense woods. He looked like an outdoorsman from a totally different time, wearing old-fashioned gear and holding a long fishing pole. David lifted a hand to wave, but the man paid him no mind. He just walked along the water's edge before seeming to melt back into the growing darkness. David was confused but not scared yet. He figured it was just another hiker, and the dim light was playing tricks on his eyes. But the third evening brought a kind of terror he would never forget. He was poking at his small campfire when he felt it again. That unmistakable feeling of being watched. He slowly looked up, his eyes scanning the opposite shore. The figure was there again, and this time, he was closer. He was standing at the very edge of the water, completely still. But it wasn't how close he was that scared David. It was what he was doing. He wasn't fishing. He wasn't hiking. He was just standing there staring directly at David's campsite. Even from that distance, David could feel an intense, chilling focus in that stare. The figure stood there for what felt like an eternity before turning and once again vanishing into the trees. This time, there was no way to explain it away. Gripped by a primal fear he'd never felt before, David left everything, his tent, his gear, all of it. He scrambled into the woods, away from the water, and hid in the pitch black until the first hint of dawn. As soon as there was enough light to see, he bolted, not even daring to glance back. Locals later told him the legend of a fisherman who drowned in Pierce Pond decades ago. His body was never found, and they say his ghost is stuck wandering that shoreline forever, always casting a line into the dark water. These mountains are full of stories, secrets whispered on the wind. If you're getting pulled into this journey into the dark, go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what we dig up next. Now, for our third story, we're heading to Tennessee, to a place where the hauntings are so thick, it's said that even the ghosts have company. Story 3. The Ghost House Trail and the Phantom Dog. In the rolling hills of Big Ridge State Park, Tennessee, there's a path called the Ghost House Trail. And it's not just a name. It leads to the stone ruins of the Hutchinson family home, a place soaked in tragedy. Back in the 1800s, the Hutchinson family lived on this land, but their lives were tough. One of their daughters, Mary, died of tuberculosis right there in that house, and it seems like some of that sadness just never left. A few years back, a group of friends decided to camp near the trail, drawn in by the spooky folklore. They were total skeptics, just looking for a fun scare and a good story to tell. They set up their tents, got a fire going, and started telling their own ghost stories, laughing off the local legends. But as the night got deeper, the laughter faded, and a tense quiet took over. That is, until they heard it. The clear sound of panting, heavy and close. Then, the soft padding of paws on dry leaves, circling their tents. They fumbled for their flashlights, expecting a stray dog or a coyote, but the beams sliced through the dark and revealed absolutely nothing. Still, the sounds kept going. The panting, the running, an invisible animal right outside the thin nylon walls of their tents. Then, another sound joined in. A faint, heartbreaking cry, like a woman sobbing on the wind, that seemed to come from the direction of the old Hutchinson ruins. The friends were frozen solid with fear. The very legends they'd been making fun of just hours earlier were coming to life all around them. To make things even worse, one of them, who happened to be looking toward the park's old cemetery, swore he saw the silhouette of a man in what looked like a Civil War uniform standing among the tombstones before he just vanished. They didn't sleep at all. The phantom dog, said to be Mary Hutchinson's loyal pet still looking for her, the echo of her own tragic cries, and the ghost of a soldier wandering the grounds. It was all too much. They packed up the second the sun came up, their skepticism completely gone. The Ghost House Trail had earned its name, proving that some places are just so full of history and pain that they become permanent homes for the spirits who can't move on. Story 4. The Guiding Light of Norton Creek. Our last story tonight comes from the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, a place known for its stunning beauty and its deep-rooted supernatural lore. This one is about the Norton Creek Trail, and something that blurs the line between a haunting and a miracle. The local legend starts with a tragedy from the pioneer days. A settler, whose farm was deep in the woods, went out in a storm to find his little daughter who had wandered off. He was tragically murdered by thieves, his life cut short while he was desperately searching for his child. Ever since, a strange story has been passed down. Hikers who get lost on the Norton Creek Trail, especially after dark, have reported a bizarre and strangely helpful encounter. This is exactly what happened to two friends, Mark and Sarah, who completely underestimated the trail. They got a late start, and a sudden thick fog rolled in, leaving them totally disoriented. As dusk turned into a moonless night, they knew they were hopelessly lost. Panic started to kick in. Their phone batteries were dead, and their flashlights were starting to flicker and die. They screamed for help, but their voices were just swallowed by the silent, dense forest. Just as a cold, heavy despair was setting in, they saw it. Through the trees, a small, warm light just appeared, hovering in the air. It wasn't a flashlight. It was a soft, floating orb, bobbing gently as if it was telling them to follow. They were scared, but with no other choice, they followed it. The light kept a steady distance ahead, leading them through tangled thickets and over streams, navigating the dark woods with an impossible sense of direction. It guided them for almost an hour, a silent, mysterious guide. Finally, the light led them to the edge of a clearing, and their feet hit the solid, familiar ground of the main trail. They were safe. Overjoyed, they turned to thank whoever was holding the lantern, but there was no one there. The second they were back on the path, the light just winked out and vanished into the darkness. They heard the legend later and knew, without a doubt, they had been guided by the spirit of the murdered settler. They say his ghost stays on that trail, not to haunt, but to help. His fatherly instinct is so strong that even in death, he's still searching for lost souls in the dark, trying to make sure no one else suffers his same tragic fate. From a lonely child watching from the woods, to a ghostly fisherman on a remote pond, from a phantom dog on a haunted trail, to a light that guides the lost. The Appalachian Mountains hold their secrets tight. These ancient forests have seen centuries of life, death, and things that we just can't explain. Campers and hikers today still report seeing shadow figures, hearing voices from nowhere, and getting that overwhelming feeling that they're being watched by something they can't see. So what do you think? Are these just stories we tell around a campfire, made bigger and scarier by the isolation of the wilderness? Or are there really spirits wandering those old trails, their stories now a part of the mountains themselves? Let us know in the comments if you've ever had an unexplained experience while camping or hiking. We read every single one. And if you enjoyed these stories, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more trips into the unknown. Stay safe out there. You never know what's waiting for you in the dark.